So language barrier is a big issue. Oftentimes, even seniors don't know and don't have a
Hmm.
community they can feel comfortable with. They,
Yeah.
they, they do feel isolated. And I've heard stories that seniors at other more Asian seniors and more conventional facilities, they can't communicate with other
Hmm.
residents or even the staff. So they're not getting the care that they need or the care that they deserve. They feel isolated. They kind of sit in the corner. Nobody talks to them. The food, again, I use my parents as an example. Like, well, it's fun for them to eat spaghetti once in a while, but if you ask them to eat it every day, that's probably not going to go well. So that's also a big part of our culture, is the food as well. So all this what we want is that like I said, we want to help Asian seniors to age well, whether it's age out at home, and we have actually have two community centers where a lot of programs they can come and join
Hmm.
and meet friends and prevent that social isolation. And we also have the residential care services, the nursing home, assisted living, and so on, that we can help them age well.
Welcome back to another episode here on the Hart and Hustle Podcast. Just imagine you're leaving corporate America and your whole life, just the career just flips upside down. But then you become the face of culturally rooted senior care for the Asian elders. And that's the story of today's guest, Ketty, CEO of Keen On. Hopefully I said that correct. Welcome to the show. How you doing today, madam, on this beautiful Tuesday?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Thank you very much. Thank you for the introduction.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I want to get straight into it. What really pulled you towards something bigger? I mean, so many people, they think paycheck, but you said, I don't care about paycheck. I just think about bigger impact. What pulled you into it?
Well, yeah, actually, really all started during COVID. So in 2020, during COVID, when quite honestly, there were a lot of anti-Asian sentiment in the community,
Hmm.
and I felt like I needed to get more involved with my community. So I started looking for an organization that I can volunteer my time with, and then I was connected with Kinon. So Kinon is an organization here in Seattle that provides culturally and linguistically appropriate care for seniors in the community. And I can get into a little bit more later about exactly what we do, what does that mean. But it's really serving my community and having elderly parents myself, that just a mission that resonated with me. So I joined the Kingdom board in January 2021. And then about a year and a half later, when the CEO position for Kinon became available, I just
Hmm.
kind of thought long and hard, and kind of like, well, I am at a career where fortunate enough that I can make the leap and go leave corporate America,
Hmm.
paychecks, whatever. That's aside, I have the opportunity to just kind of jump in both feet and lead this organization.
What are some of the things that surprised you the most coming into to the space of because you really went from transportation to banking to healthcare.
Right.
What was that moment like? What was that journey like for you, especially now that you're in the space? What did you learn from the past that allows you to be here today, present?
Right. So my career has, as you mentioned, I've worked in different industries, and my background is corporate finance. So in all those other areas or other companies I work for, I was in a finance capacity and taking on,
Hmm.
increasing leadership roles, right? So throughout my career, one of the things I always enjoy, even in finance, was being a partner with operations to make sure that we make the right decision, to make sure
Hmm.
that we run a tight business, providing kind of actionable input to operations and partner with them to help us improve. So from that perspective, I feel like I have pretty good insights into operations as a finance person. And I also, I've been, by the time I joined Kinon, I've been in healthcare for more than a decade. So I felt like I was
Wow.
pretty well equipped to come. But what I did not realize was that actually running operations is a whole different a whole different ballgame,
Yeah.
especially when you have 24/7 nursing home operations. And on top of that, when I joined in June 2021, 2022, we're still just coming out of the tail end of COVID. There were still a lot of,
Hmm.
COVID related um, things that we have to deal with. And
Hmm.
also, nursing home is highly, highly, highly regulated. Well, rightfully so for many reasons, because we do serve a very vulnerable population. So there are a lot of government regulations that we have to deal with. There's constant pressure from um, state surveys and compliance issues and so on. So those are probably my biggest surprise is how regulated, because in healthcare is pretty regulated already,
Yeah.
hospitals and so on. But nursing home is even more regulated, which is kind of a surprise to me. But it's all good. I mean, I totally understand why we need to protect the very vulnerable seniors that we serve.
And a good leader like yourself, you'll figure it out, you'll pivot, you'll make it happen. But I would ask you, what did you find easier, or I would say harder? Was it climbing that corporate ladder or taking the step down to go do what you're doing today?
Um, that's a really good question. I think they both bring on different stress.
Yeah.
So in my earlier career as climbing corporate ladder, a lot of the stress comes from, quite honestly, corporate politics, right?
Hmm.
And just the constant pressure from
Hmm.
usually from your boss, from the organization, from Wall Street when I was working for publicly traded companies. Um, Here the pressure comes from I really care. I keep going home and telling my husband that I cannot let Kinon fell under under my watch. We got it. We have to do this. We have to get through this. I can't let it fail because it's so important in our community.
Hmm.
So I think that's the big difference is like I truly emotionally feel like I'm attached to the organization, and
Hmm.
that brings the stress that I want Kinan to success and do well because it really does serve the community that I care deeply about.
I like that. And for people that don't know, Keenon, like what is so different from every other senior care center that exists? Tell them a little bit different. What's different about
Yeah,
it?
so Kinan Healthcare Center, we are an organization that specifically serve Asian seniors. Like I mentioned earlier, we provide culturally and linguistically appropriate care for seniors. We do have a 100-bed nursing home, so we provide
Hmm.
long-term care as well as short-term rehab for our Asian seniors. Um, our staff here, they speak different dialects of Chinese, Vietnamese, Filipino, and you name it. So it's very diverse, and we serve Asian food. And so it's a place that with the seniors, when the time comes when they need to be living in the facility, this is an environment they are
Hmm.
comfortable with, and they have the language, they can communicate with our staff. And we serve Asian food. Our kitchen's amazing. And then we also have assisted living, similarly, is providing culturally and linguistically appropriate care for seniors. And we also have home care as well as a lot of community based programs. So we have expanded over time. So Kinan, let me back up a little bit. Kinan was founded 40 years ago by the community, a group of community members who wanted to unite the Chinese community in Seattle.
Hmm.
And the one theme, the one concept everybody could agree to was we want to take care of our seniors. And we know that a lot of new immigrants have language barriers and are not comfortable in a conventional nursing home facility. So that's
Hmm.
how Kinan was formed about 40 years ago. So over the years, we have expanded. Like I say, we now also provide a lot of
Hmm.
community-based services, health-related workshops, family caregiver supports, home care, and we want to help senior to age well at home. And but when the time comes and they have the need to be in a facility, we're also here to serve them.
I love that. One thing you just tapped on, and I want to kind of touch a little bit on it, was the language barriers, right? But we also have isolation, discrimination. Those are such heavy words. How personal
Absolutely.
do those challenges actually feel to you? You talk about making sure it doesn't fail, but you also have all these different things to think about.
Right, right, absolutely. Yes, definitely. There's like I mentioned when I first was connected with Kinan and back
Mhm.
into COVID, that kind of it was a time where there's a lot of heightened Asian um, anti-Asian sentiment in the community
Mhm.
and discrimination and you're absolutely correct. So language barrier is a big issue. Oftentimes, even seniors don't know and don't have a
Mhm.
community they can feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
They do feel isolated, and I've heard stories that seniors at other more Asian seniors and more conventional facilities, they can't communicate with other
Mhm.
residents or even the staff, so they're not getting the care that they need or the care that they deserve. They feel isolated. They kind of sit in the corner. Nobody talks to them. The food, again, I use my parents as an example. Like, well, it's fun for them to eat spaghetti once in a while, but if you ask them to eat it every day, that's probably not going to go well. So that's also a big part of our culture, is the food as well. So all this what we want is that like I said, we want to help Asian seniors to age well, whether it's age out at home, and we have actually have two community centers where a lot of programs they can come and join
Mhm.
and meet friends and prevent that social isolation. And we also have the residential care services, the nursing home, assisted living, and so on that we can help them age well.
I truly love the space that you're in, and it's very until I spoke to you last time was something I didn't even really think of, right?
Right.
When people, because we all go through it at some point, we're going to be in a nursing home, we're going to be in the care of others, and not realizing that we don't have a space where people see somebody like them or
Right.
can relate. And I think that's what we need, right?
Yeah.
Because then at the end of the day, they're still human. And if they're in a space where there's a language barrier and they're not really getting the attention they need, are they in the best place possible? And the answer is no,
Right.
right? But you guys are creating something that is like, hey, we see you,
Hmm.
we are one of you, and we want to make sure that while you're still here on this earth, that we can care for you the way that you should be cared for. You talked
Absolutely.
about food. You
Yeah.
talked about language. Like there's so many different things that people are accustomed to, and you guys kind of bring that within the organization. I think it's cool. I think
Yeah.
also healthcare is one that moves slow.
Hmm.
But when I spoke to you last time, you mentioned, well, tech moves fast, and I want to jump on board. What made you decide, yeah, it's time to bring AI into this space of healthcare that a lot of healthcare organizations are not utilizing it yet?
Right, right. Well, as I mentioned earlier, healthcare, that we are highly, highly regulated, especially in the front line, from the direct care perspective.
Mhm.
So, we're probably not known as the most innovative organizations, but there are a lot of opportunity in the back end. So operations in the back end, kind of the support. Operation overhead, what you people call as overhead operations. So what we recently did is that we have an amazing accounting team. They actually built the accounts payable process based on AI. So
Wow.
now we can just um, upload the invoice from a vendor, and the AI will read the invoice and will spit out how we should code the invoice into the different line items. And
Mhm.
even though every vendor send us the invoice in a different format, but we have trained the AI, so we have this tool that you can actually read the invoice and help us do that. So it really, really, really reduced the operation to the manual time where an accounts payable clerk had to go through the invoice
Yep.
and literally line by line figure out, okay, this thing goes to this account, this thing goes to that account. Now the AI can do the first cut, and then the accounts payable clerk just have to review it. And of course, AI is not perfect, right? There's still some training of the
Mhm.
tool, so we can kind of continue to make it better. But it really, really cut down the time so our accounting team can take on other projects and
Yeah.
eventually, I feel like that's area that we can gain a lot of the efficiency. Um,
I love it. I love that you say AI is just going to save me time. It's not replacing anybody, but it's allowing us to do more
mhm,
with the a little bit amount of time that we have. When you think about impacting the world, we only have but so much time. How can
right.
we make such a big impact? And AI is it's really helping in that space. Was there fear when you've mentioned AI? Because so many people think that tech is just replacing humans. How do you keep that soul and key on while adding speed, but also adding something different that people have a fear of?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So here, like I say, we actually free up our accounting team to do other
Mhm.
higher level work that's more interesting for the team instead of just going on the clerical line by line, coding the
Mhm.
invoice. So I think it's actually well received. We have there's always projects in our any organization, any system, any process. There's always projects and process improvements that we can work on. So what
Mhm.
happened is that we just give the accounting clerk who used to be doing the manual coding, now he can actually have time to work on some higher level work, which I think is a win-win for everybody. So we never have anybody was kind of fear that um, oh, this is going to replace my job, because we know that we have this long list of projects that we want to tackle. So they
Good,
allow
good,
us to
good.
get better that way.
If the Heart and Hustle podcast has ever sparked any idea or made you think differently, do us a favor. Make sure to guys share this, post it on LinkedIn, or even text that nonprofit friend that you just have. Whatever works, this is what keeps the conversation going and allows us to just grow this community together. Seriously, we appreciate you. I love it. I love it. And I can imagine there's times where you have to pivot, right? Where there's times maybe you have to double down, and there's times where you really got to focus and pivot. How do you do these things? Like, I can only imagine sometimes it may feel like a marathon, but what are you doing to stay sane, to stay, just in the game?
Wow, that's a really $1 million question, right? Um, so it is a marathon, right? And I think part of it just understanding that there's, you know, how do I put it? it you can't do it all, and you can do it all
Yeah.
in one day. So I think you have to take on a pretty good perspective that um, you can solve the world's problem in one day all by
Hmm.
yourself, right? So step by step. So we do have a lot of opportunity to get better. I think in general, Kinan really does take good care of our residents. I can put in a little plug. We have a resident who's been with us who um, was admitted, who came in 2009. So it's been 16 years, and she just turned 105. So we do take really, really good care of our residents. And to
Love it.
me, that's kind of the North Star, right? Like, that's my, that's the end result. Like, we want to take care of our residents.
Yeah.
And that mission and the end, that kind of continue to drive me personally. And then just kind of understanding the I can't do it all in one day.
Yep.
I also try to, I do exercise, and that's kind of like clear my head. I
Got
do run every day.
got to keep the mind right.
Yeah. Like, that's my attitude adjustment hour. Like, after work I go run for an hour, and then that's like my attitude adjustment. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. No, I had to really implement that this year as well. Early this year, it's like, you know what? With how busy leaders can really be and moving all over the place, sometimes just working out could be the difference, right? Because it allows you to separate from everything,
Yeah,
and allows you to
absolutely.
really take care of the body. And I think that's the most important part, not just the mind, but also the body.
Right.
Because when you start to see yourself in a different light and you start to feel good about yourself, you'll also continue to get that back to your staff,
Hmm.
as a leader. So
Hmm.
I love that. And you're really building something for the next generation, right? What's one thing you hope that Keon will stand for 40 years from now?
Well, first of all, I hope I can still be here for another 40 years. We are celebrating our 40th anniversary this year, so which is a big milestone. We are
Hmm.
we were the first Chinese nursing home in the country. And
Oh,
I think there are a few around the country now in some of the other states with high Asian population. But we are still the only Asian focused nursing home in Washington state. What I hope in 40 years, I hope, I think that, there's still going to be needs in the community. A
hmm.
lot of the immigrants continue to come into this country, or even immigrants like myself who's been here for a while. But oftentimes, when you get older, people do read their language skills do regress a little bit. They revert to their mother tongue. They want to have they want to be in an environment where um, they're comfortable with, right? They're familiar with. So my hopes is in 40 years when I need that service, still here. But I think, continue to what one of our goal this year as our 40th anniversary is that we wanted to bring in more supporters who are the younger, kind of maybe younger professionals who maybe start to realize that their parents might start to need service or kind of start looking ahead and thinking about the importance of senior care. So we do want to expand our reach to get our name out there for to or more kind of the younger professionals who can become our supporters, our volunteers, or
Yeah.
be associated with us.
Let's talk to those young leaders. I believe that we do need some young leaders in this space. And let's say they're listening right now. What's one lesson you wish that you knew earlier so that maybe they can actually pick up from that?
Well, I think the one lesson I learned from my career is that don't be afraid that if you feel like your career is taking a random walk. Because I think in my career I took a couple changes and that might people might look and go, why did you do that? And it turned out some of that those random walk actually all built it built up your capacity, it built your
Yeah.
experience. It might be something totally different, and then 5 years later you might run into something like, oh, I know how to do this because I took that job
Yep.
that seemed kind of weird at the time, but it taught me all these skills and now I can apply. So one of the things I when I got to the early asked me earlier about this job here, kind of switching from being a finance executive to the
Mhm.
CEO and running the operations, is that I do draw back to it's like, oh, I do know that. I did that. Even though at the time it seems like, why would I do that as a finance person? Why did I get my hands involved in this other thing? So I think that's just
Yeah.
my advice is don't be afraid to take risk and try something new. And if your career looks like a
I
random
love
walk,
it.
that's just fine because it's all gonna come together.
100%. Yeah, I was just talking to another leader, and he left the restaurant business after so many years,
Hmm.
right? And no 2 weeks, just he needed to change, right? And sometimes it takes that.
Yeah,
Sometimes it really takes. And I asked him, what did he learn from? Because I think there's something to learn from every job. I'm a
absolutely.
big believer when you go somewhere, it's like, what did I learn? What was in it for me?
Right.
Because there has to be something in there for you. I've taken jobs where I was a facilitator, never knew how to facilitate, but you know what? I took so much. I mean, look what I'm doing for a living, right?
Right.
And it allowed me to become more confident in just my voice, speaking, and meeting people, because you're in front of different people and understanding nationalities and how to talk to
Absolutely.
people. So I do believe that life really led you to this space where now you're making such an impact. And it's not like you're just making impacts for your ordinary individuals. These are people that look like you, that you may have grown up with at some point in time, right? You
Right.
may know these moms
Right.
because it's so community driven. And when you think about how you're catering to a certain niche,
Right.
I think that's beautiful. I think that's a beautiful thing to do, and to know that you found something where you're like, man, I feel what I'm doing is not even a job. Do you feel like that? Do you feel like this is just a job
It's
nowadays, or is
it's
this
a job.
fun?
Yeah, it's a job, but it's also a passion, and it comes with, like I say, it comes with stress, but at the same time, it also comes with a lot of pride. I love it when I go to the community and I talk to people. Even when I
Mhm.
first took the job as a Keynote and I posted on LinkedIn, and then I have all these people came to me and go like, "Oh, my grandparents stay there. Congratulations! This is so
Lovely.
great. You're going to Keynote. My in-laws stay there. Like these people were coming out
Yeah.
all over the place, and I didn't even know that they have this connection. And then I continue to meet people that they tell me that they do want to volunteer, they want to be involved with Kinon because
That's so good.
either their parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles that stay here and
Mhm.
just really appreciate what we do for their families. So I think the pride really is also one of the big surprise. Actually, you asked me earlier. That was
Yeah.
one of the big surprises. Wow, I didn't realize that actually have touched so many lives in this community, and people really, really do appreciate that. And that's another driver for me. So I can't let it fail.
Mhm.
I have to
Yeah,
make sure
yeah.
that I have to make sure that it's here for another 40 years.
And it will. It will. I think your leadership and all life experiences will definitely you'll leave that legacy. It doesn't look like you're going anywhere soon, so you still got a lot of years to really build and
Hopefully.
allow the next person, as you said, the young leader, to maybe step in and take it into the direction you've always wanted to, but maybe you have to move on to other things. But I do love that you found something that really touches your heart and resonates with you, because a lot of times people will stay very comfortable. You never stayed comfortable. Okay, you always felt like, listen, okay, I'm done here, let me go somewhere else. And you're willing to take risks. You're a risk taker. So I know that for the next 40 years this organization is good because of you. Okay, because
Oh,
you really
thank
do
you.
care.
Appreciate that.
Absolutely. How can people get more involved into what you're doing? And I'm not saying just monetary wise, but is it spreading the word? Is it volunteering? Like, if someone wants to really make a difference and they see what you're doing and they want to be a part of it, how could that be possible?
Well, there are many, many opportunities. Thanks for asking. Obviously, there's the monetary support. Anybody can go to kinon.org and pick and press that big donate now button. But other than that, we do have a lot of volunteering opportunities here.
Mhm.
We are constantly looking for volunteers to come in to interact with our residents to enrich their lives here. So we have volunteer positions such as playmates who can come in and play simple games or teach them art and crafts. And we have, for example, we have a volunteer who comes in regularly to do painting, the watercolor
Mhm.
painting with the
Yeah.
residents. We have also companionship with sitters to come in and just keep our residents in company. And in the community, like I mentioned before, we have a lot of community-based programs and in our two
Mhm.
community centers. So we're always looking for, um, people can participate. You can come in
Mhm.
and participate, but you can also be an instructor. We're always looking for instructors. You have something you can teach. We have instructor teaching Tai Chi or yoga or calligraphy or different arts and crafts, and you name it. So I think that's probably the best way for you to
Yeah.
get involved. For anybody who want to get involved, is to check out to our volunteer opportunities, and there are also one-time volunteer opportunities as well. You feel like, oh, I can't do this every week or every month, but we have events, right? So this year, for example, every year we have a seniors day, 1 day event. We need a lot of volunteers for that. And then we have this year, we have 40th anniversary gala. We also need a lot of volunteers for that. So there are plenty of volunteer
Yeah.
opportunities.
And I love that you shared all these, because first of all, people may not know how to get involved in this space as a volunteer. But in general, people think all organizations, nonprofits, just need money, but sometimes it's no. We need your expertise, right? We need your
Yeah,
resources. We need your
yeah.
talent. We need your time.
We
If
need
you
the
could just give us a
time.
little bit of
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I like that you gave me all so many ideas on how someone can be involved with our elders too. Like, they're still humans. They still were creative. They
right.
still have a
Yeah.
passion, right? They're
Oh,
still
yeah.
breathing. So I love that you guys
Yeah.
do all these different
Yeah,
things for the
yeah, and
seniors.
if you're a senior, you can definitely. We are always welcome more participants in our programs. We have everything
Hmm.
from, like I mentioned before, health related workshops like chronic disease
Hmm.
management or aging mastery. We have line dancing classes. It was really
Okay.
fun.
All right.
It's just in the community center down the hall from our office, and I always see them every week. They come in and dance, and there's karaoke, there's mahjong, you name it. So we really want to create that community where Asian seniors can feel comfortable
Yeah.
and can come and meet others. And we really want to provide that space for the
Yeah.
seniors to gather and to have fun and
So
to age
so the
well.
real question is, are you out there karaokeing with them?
Huh? I'm sorry.
Are you doing karaoke with them?
I don't personally sing. We just set it up for them. You don't want me to sing. I think they're all like hightail
I
out of
love
there
it.
in like 2 seconds. I'm a terrible singer.
Same. Yeah, you don't want me to do any karaoke, but no, this has been a really fun time, and thank you so much for just giving us this insight on what Keon is. As you know, it's really been, I would say, a groundbreaker for other organizations that now look like this organization. But you guys were that foundation, and will continue to be that foundation for everyone to kind of look at, like, oh, look what they're doing. So we definitely thank you on it. But as always, we got to kind of start wrapping things up. And I got a blind question for you. This one here is from Jill from Joyful Connections,
Okay.
and she asked, when things get heavy, what's your go-to mantra that always helps you power through?
Everything will work out at the end.
Wow, you said that too easy. You have some of these moments, huh?
I have way too many of those moments. Everything would work out in the end. Things always work out in the end.
I do believe it. Just I gotta have faith. Just gotta have
Yeah,
some faith.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No, I
Things,
do agree.
yeah,
I've been through those experiences as well, and it's sometimes you got to tell yourself exactly what you just said, right? Like
yes,
it's going to work out. It's
exactly,
going to work out. You got to keep going, keep going.
exactly.
You got to talk to yourself. You talked about it's like going to the gym, right?
Yeah,
When you don't want to do something, work out. You don't want to lift these things, but it's like I got to do it. It's it's
yeah,
good.
yeah,
There's going to be a benefit, here,
yeah,
so I got to keep
yeah,
pushing into it. But
yeah.
I love it. What was your blind question to the next leader we have here on the Heart and Hustle
Well,
podcast?
my blind question for the next guest is that if you had the magic wand, what would be the one thing you would change about your current organization or your current job?
Okay. All right. I love it. I love it. Well, we thank you so much for being such an amazing leader and really making a difference in your community. But not only in the community, there's so many people that may watch this through our different social media platforms that even know something like this exists. And now they know, but they also know there's a leader that is truly making a change, and not just so much for our community, but for the world, for people that look like her, that grew up like her, and letting them know that they don't have to be alone for the end of days, right? That they can actually be in a home with people that understand them a little bit more. And I'm so happy. I'm telling you, when you told me that the first time I spoke to you, I'm like, wow, that's very smart. Like that is very, very smart. I don't know. It's crazy. But we thank you so much for sharing it. Guys, if you guys are here and you've really been inspired or you really been touched by the story that we were able to get with another amazing leader here on the Hart Hustle podcast, we expected to share. You tag a friend. But Ketty, we thank you so much for giving us your time, your knowledge, and we hope to do this again, another
Yeah,
10
yeah,
years. You tell
yeah,
me how
yeah.
you've elevated in another 10 years, right?
Great.
But we
Yeah.
thank you. We thank you. We thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate the conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Guys, it's been the Hart Hustle podcast. We'll catch you guys on the next episode with another amazing leader. Thank you guys so much. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Laters.